Okay, so again, this is the Pacific Institute doing the report. The name of their report is the Untapped Potential of California's Urban Water Supply, and their focus is on water efficiency, reuse, and stormwater capture. You've got all the scientists here. Heather Cooley and Peter Gleich are folks we follow all the time. They're some of the smartest people in water. They're the ones we trust. And if you want to read the whole report, check it out here at their website, 48 pages, but this will give you a good chunk of what they discuss. And we can talk about it at the end. So California water use has seen a dramatic decoupling from population and economic growth in the past 40 years. Between 1967 and 2016, gross state product grew by a factor of 5 and population more than doubled, but water use increased by only 13%. This trend was due to improvements in urban and agricultural efficiency, as well as shifts to higher value crops and less water intensive commercial and industrial activities. Since the mid-1960s, agricultural water use has typically ranged from about 30 to 37 million acre feet per year. An acre foot is about 1 football field's worth of water, and the average household uses about 1 acre foot per year of water. While water use has changed little over this period, the economic productivity of water, so the economic value produced per unit of water applied, has increased dramatically due to a shift toward higher value crops like almonds and pistachios and more efficient irrigation technologies and practices. In the 1960s and early 1970s, the economic productivity of water was less than $600 per acre foot, but has exceeded $1,200 per acre foot since 2013. Numerous studies point to additional agricultural water use efficiency opportunities, though, through, for example, the use of drip irrigation and irrigation scheduling technologies and development of healthy soils. This figure shows the amount of water used by people and businesses, including farms, in California between 1960 and 2016, with drought period shaded in yellow, if you can see that. Agriculture accounts for about 80% of statewide water use, with the remaining 20% used by homes, businesses, and institutions in urbanized areas across California. Since 2007, both total and per capita urban water use have declined dramatically, such that total urban use in 2016 was about 7.1 million acre feet, a level not seen since the early 90s. Using data submitted by water suppliers in their electronic annual reports, Pacific Institute estimates that urban water use in California averaged around 6.6 million acre feet per year between 2017 and 2019. Of that amount, most was used in and around homes, with residential water use accounting for nearly 2/3 of total urban use, or about 4.2 million acre feet per year. Together, commercial businesses, industrial manufacturing, and institutions like schools, prisons, and hospitals accounted for 16% of California's urban water use, or 1 million acre feet per year. Large landscapes served by dedicated irrigation meter accounted for an additional 11%, or a little under 1 million acre feet per year. Non-revenue water accounted for 8% of urban water use, or about 0.53 million acre feet per year. Finally, other miscellaneous use like street cleaning and temporary meters accounted for 1.5% of urban use. Still pretty high for things like street sweepers. Here you can see a breakdown by region. I'll give you a second to look at that. Since 1970, the quantity of water reused in California has increased by more than 300%, with most of those gains occurring over the past 30 years. While there is currently no statewide estimate of the amount of stormwater captured and reused in California, new projects are being developed across the state. For example, the California Department of Water Resources, which I will refer to as DWR here on out, identified 78 unique urban stormwater capture projects funded at least in part by the state that were to be completed by 2020, and another 70 projects by 2035. Together, these projects were expected to capture more than 200,000 acre feet of stormwater per year for recharge and another 40,000 acre-feet per year for irrigation and other direct uses. In Los Angeles, centralized facilities capture an average of 29,000 acre-feet of stormwater annually for recharge and water supply aquifers, and an additional 35,000 acre-feet is captured incidentally. Moreover, LA residents overwhelmingly approved a parcel tax in 2018 that is expected to generate $300 million annually for stormwater projects. Hooray! This figure shows the sources of water for the Metropolitan Water District, the folks we talk about all the time, for their service area from 1976 to 2020. Water conservation and efficiency efforts across the service area were a major contributor to reductions in water use in 2020 to levels not seen since the late 1970s, despite continued population growth. Likewise, local supplies, which indicate recycled water and groundwater recharge from stormwater capture, have steadily increased since the mid-1970s. The net effect of these changes is reduced reliance on water imported from the Colorado River and the Delta and through the Los Angeles Aqueduct. If you remember from other webinars, we said the Los Angeles Aqueduct gets a lot of their water from Owens Valley. But again, this is why we're always pushing these projects, because ultimately they reduce reliance on the Delta, which is our biggest goal. Despite progress that has been made in reducing water use and diversifying California's water supply portfolio, by any measure, water use exceeds water supply. For example, the Bay Delta is where the state's two major rivers come together. That's the Sacramento and the San Joaquin River, which is the current subject of the voluntary agreements. It's the heart of what used to be a vibrant natural wetland and is home to hundreds of species of plants, birds, fish, and other wildlife. I believe it's actually 750 species, including 2/3 of the state's salmon population and at least half of the birds that migrate along the Pacific Flyway, which extends well beyond California. It is also where massive pumps pull water to aqueducts that supply farms in the Central Valley and cities in SoCal, and those pumps are part of the State Water Project. Assessments by the State Water Resources Control Board, which I'll call the Water Board from here on out, found that we take nearly 5 million acre-feet per year more water out of the Delta, even in an average water year, than is compatible with a healthy system. I'll say that again because that's a big one. And that's something that we can share all the time in our talking points. The Water Board found that we take nearly 5 million acre-feet per year more water out of the Delta than is compatible with a healthy system. That's wild. The net result has been a serious deterioration in the ecological health of the entire system, as reflected in plummeting populations of both commercially valuable and non-commercial native fish species. Likewise, groundwater overdraft continues to persist and even worsen. Groundwater provides nearly 40% of the state's water, even in average years. When there was a drought and reduced surface water availability, groundwater becomes even more important. The Department of Water Resources estimates the state's annual groundwater overdraft, which is the amount of water withdrawn that exceeds recharge, is approximately 2 million acre-feet. Across the state, 21 groundwater basins, of which 13 are in the Central Valley, have been designated as critically overdrafted. Overdraft of groundwater has led to land subsidence and damage to infrastructure, drying up of local wells, depletion of stream flows, and decreased water quality. While plans are now being developed as required by the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, or SGMA, to bring groundwater basins into long-term balance, groundwater overdraft continues to be severe and has even worsened in parts of California. If you want to know more about subsidence and SGMA, we have a webinar on our website all about subsidence and SGMA. SGMA really, it's going to take 20 years for any of that to kick in, and there's a lot of flaws with that act. So there's still a ways to go, and subsidence is a really serious problem that we need to do more to correct. Water efficiency measures, by definition, reduce water use without affecting the services and benefits that water provides. These measures include a variety of technologies and practices, such as replacing old, inefficient toilets, shower heads, and clothes washers with high efficiency models, as well as replacing lawns with climate-appropriate plants, improving outdoor irrigation efficiency, and reducing losses in the water distribution system. That actually reminds me, I was talking to someone today who should know that when we say turf, that doesn't necessarily mean astroturf. Turf means lawns, LAWNS. I have an accent, so lawns is the word I'm saying. It's the grass outside. That's what we say. That's what we mean when we say turf, and functional and non-functional turf. That's what we're talking about. Between 2017 and 2019, California's urban water use averaged 6.6 million acre-feet per year, far below previous levels. Despite past improvements, California's water efficiency potential really remains large. The Pacific Institute estimates that adopting proven technologies and practices could reduce urban water use in California by 2 to 3.1 million acre-feet per year, or by 30 to 48%. That's huge. Water efficiency opportunities can be found across the state, but are highest in the South Coast Hydrologic region, which is essentially Metropolitan Water District, followed by the San Francisco Bay and Sacramento River Hydrologic regions. Water savings are greatest for the residential sector, followed by the commercial, industrial, and institutional sectors, and reducing losses in the water distribution system. This is another big one. Urban water use in California averaged 6.6 million acre-feet per year between 2017 and 2019. They estimate that available technologies and practices could reduce current water use by 2 to 3 million acre-feet. Between 61 and 67% of the potential water savings, or 1.2 million to 2.1 million acre-feet per year, are in the residential sector. Reducing real losses in the water distribution system to meet water loss performance standards would save 0.11 million to 0.13 million acre-feet per year statewide. Pacific Institute estimates that 44% of all urban water used in California, or 2.8 million acre-feet, is used outdoors for landscape irrigation, washing cars or sidewalks, washing sidewalks, and for filling pools and spas. Moderate landscape conversions from turf, which like I said is basically a lawn or grass, to less water-intensive alternatives could save 1 million acre-feet per year, while more extensive landscape conversion could save 1.5 million acre-feet per year. The largest outdoor savings potential is at residences, which is about 0.64 million to 1.1 million, while outdoor savings from commercial landscapes range from 0.34 million to 0.4 million acre-feet per year. While earlier water efficiency efforts have emphasized indoor efficiency, Pacific Institute's analysis suggests that there are still significant indoor water savings opportunities. So a lot of people in the water world have been kind of turning their attention to the outdoor sector, to ag, to turf and landscaping. But this report found that really there's still a lot more that needs to be done in indoor water saving opportunities, and there should be a much bigger focus on that. They find that statewide indoor efficiency opportunities in California range from 0.86 million to 1.5 million acre-feet per year. The greatest indoor savings potential is in residences, which is about 0.56 million to 1 million acre-feet per year, although there are considerable saving opportunities in businesses and institutions from 0.3 to 0.5 million acre-feet per year. And just to put it in perspective, in a webinar we gave last month, I believe LA at one point spent $14 million on cloud seeding, which only yielded about 2,000 acre-feet. So when we're talking the millions here, that's so much water that can be saved from these sustainable projects compared to, things like cloud seeding. The South Coast Hydrologic region, which again is pretty much Metropolitan's area more or less, has the highest potential water savings across all sectors. By implementing available efficiency measures, the region could save between 1.1 million and 1.7 million acre-feet per year of water, or about 50% of the total statewide water savings potential. 50% right there in that region alone. San Francisco Bay has the second highest potential savings between 0.23 million and 0.39 million acre-feet per year, followed closely by the Sacramento River region at 0.2 million to 0.32 million acre-feet per year. Average statewide water savings range from 46 to 73 gallons per per day. On a per capita basis, the greatest water savings are in the Colorado River hydraulic region, where daily savings range from 64 to 96 gallons per person. The South Coast hydrologic region has the highest total water savings due to the large number of people living in the region, but water savings per person were equivalent to the statewide average. San Francisco Bay, the Central Coast, and the North Coast hydrologic regions have the lowest current per person capita water use in the state, and consequently the least amount of savings potential per person. So essentially, they have the least amount of potential because they're already doing quite a bit, or the folks there are already not using a ton of water. In 2020, the most recent year for which data is available, 3.1 million acre-feet per year of municipal wastewater was produced within the state of California. Around 728,000 acre-feet per year, or about 23% of the wastewater produced, is directly recycled at wastewater treatment plants or by a dedicated recycled water producer. An additional 286,000 acre-feet per year of municipal wastewater effluent supports ecosystems via in-stream flow requirements and discharges to wildlife refuges and other natural systems. Of the remaining wastewater produced in 2020, they estimate that approximately 1.8 to 2.1 million acre-feet per year is potentially available for reuse. Of that 2.1 million acre-feet per year of water potentially available for reuse, 1 million is produced at 259 facilities already supplying recycled water, while the remaining 1.1 million acre-feet per year is produced at 390 water treatment plants that are not. In both cases, the potential to increase water reuse depends on factors such as the local demand for recycled water, whether recycled water is of suitable quality for local needs, public perceptions of recycled water. Some people think it's yucky, it's not yucky, it's clean, and local technical, managerial, and financial capacity to support these recycled water projects. Volumes of potentially reusable water are highest in the two most populous regions, of course, with about 497,000 acre-feet per year potentially reusable in the San Francisco Bay region and 1.1 million acre-feet per year in the South Coast. The most water abundant hydrologic region, which is the North Coast, reused the highest proportion of their effluent at around 52%, though the total volumes of effluent produced in this region are comparatively small, around 41,000 acre-feet per year. Reuse in other less populous regions range from 31 to 48% of effluent. Of the more populous regions, the South Coast currently reuses 473,000 acre-feet per year, 29% of the effluent, while the Bay Area only reuses about 49,000 acre-feet per year, which is 9% of their effluent. Current volumes of wastewater effluent available are not necessarily predictive of future supplies. Sustained improvements in indoor water use efficiency are expected to continue reducing per capita residential and commercial water use in coming years. Likewise, increased adoption of on-site treatment sites could impact the distribution and concentration of wastewater flows within a region. However, these changes are balanced against shifts in population and economic activity, which are expected to vary substantially within and across California. So that's something we talk about all the time, right? That if we become more efficient with the water we use within our homes, then there's less water flowing through treatment centers that can then recycle it in other ways. So that's why there has been some opposition to gray water systems in the homes in the past, because water agencies say, well, we want that water to then flow through the tunnels and pipelines so that we can then use it and treat it in our ways. So it's always kind of hedging that the more efficient we are, the less water there is to recycle, the more wasteful we are, essentially, the more water there is to recycle. So these numbers are always kind of ebb and flow. And then it also depends on population changes and economic activity. So will we get better about how many almonds and pistachios we produce? Will those things change? All those kinds of things mean these numbers are going to constantly vary. Stormwater, here defined as runoff created from precipitation that falls on impermeable surfaces in urban areas, is commonly viewed as a nuisance or hazard. I don't know if you were with us last week. I talked about a candidate running for mayor who said we need to capture not only stormwater, but also regular rainwater. While that wasn't quite right, any water falling from the sky, we call that stormwater. Stormwater carries pollution from roads and other urban surfaces to rivers, lakes, estuaries, and the ocean, threatening both aquatic life and public health. It can also lead to flooding, causing property damage and risks for communities. While no estimate of current stormwater capture exists, a growing number of communities, including Los Angeles and Fresno, are integrating stormwater into their water supply portfolios. The Pacific Institute estimates that the urban stormwater capture potential in California ranges from 580,000 acre-feet per year in a dry year to 3 million acre-feet per year in a wet year in urban areas overlying public supply aquifers. This potential exists across scales at the community level, neighborhood level, or even a parcel or household scale. In all years, the South Coast hydrologic region has the greatest potential for stormwater capture, ranging from 370,000 acre-feet in a dry year to 1.9 million acre-feet in a wet year. Despite receiving relatively little precipitation compared to other parts of the state, the South Coast has large expanses of pavement, because it's such an urban area, and other impervious surfaces. It also shows significant variability between wet and dry years. So some years are very wet, some are very dry, not a lot of very average years, with a wet year generating more than 5 times more runoff than a dry year. Stormwater capture potential is also large in the San Francisco Bay hydrologic region, from 120,000 acre-feet in a dry year to 670,000 acre-feet per year in a wet year, followed by the Sacramento River hydrologic region. Aquifers used for public water supply are the best option for storing stormwater for later use. And this is a question that has come up before. I don't know if Sydney's on here, but that's something she's always curious about. While there are technical and regulatory difficulties in conveying and pre-treating stormwater prior to delivering to these aquifers, many places across the state are currently working on solutions to those challenges. When the Pacific Institute constrains their analysis of stormwater capture potential to focus only on urban areas above public supply aquifers, they find that the statewide stormwater capture potential is 580,000 acre-feet in a dry year and 1.6 million acre-feet in a medium precipitation year and 3 million acre-feet in a wet year. The greatest stormwater capture potential is the South Coast, then followed by the San Francisco Bay, and then the Sacramento River regions. Stormwater capture can occur at various scales. For example, large spreading basins, there's actually one of those right near me, the Tahunga one. They're located above existing public supply aquifers and can capture and recharge tens of thousands of acre-feet per year, sourcing from areas that cover multiple square miles. Mid-sized capture, also sometimes called neighborhood scale, can be done with retention basins or underground storage tanks that source from 1 or 2 adjacent areas, acres of land. These can recharge the water into local aquifers or store it for non-potable applications like toilet flushing. Commercial landowners that manage large parcels with impervious areas can also create medium to small scale stormwater for on-site reuse. So impervious areas are, concrete, parking lots, concrete patios, sidewalks, things like that. At site scale, stormwater can be redirected into rain gardens or bioswales or stored in rain barrels or cisterns for irrigation. To better understand household level opportunities, Pacific Institute developed a high-level estimate of the stormwater capture potential from rain barrels installed in detached single-family households in urban areas in California. So this is an example of what things could be like if every single family detached household in an urban area had a rain barrel. They assume that each of the approximately 7 million occupied urban homes in California as of 2019 have 2 rain barrels that would collectively store 110 gallons of water, because the average rain barrel is a 55-gallon tank. If they each had 2 of those for 110 gallons of water with 2 usable refill events each year, so that means 2 rainstorms, essentially, a rainy day. each year. They estimate that approximately 4,700 acre-feet of stormwater can be captured at these homes collectively. So nothing more than rain barrels could get us 4,700 acre-feet of stormwater. Stormwater capture in single-family households represents a small fraction of both the available stormwater in California and household non-potable water demand. It can, however, save households money, reduce runoff that carries pollution into nearby waterways, and support green space in and around homes. They conclude that effectively capturing the stormwater capture potential will require additional decentralized and centralized options. I told you how my house flooded last month, and I really wish I had a rain barrel, but there are just not quite as many rain barrel programs as there used to be. A key factor in the adoption of water efficiency, water reuse, and stormwater capture is their economic feasibility. In 2019, Heather Cooley's team, and Heather Cooley was one of the lead scientists on this report and someone we trust quite a bit at Sierra Club. In 2019, Heather Cooley's team evaluated the costs of alternatives for urban water supply options based on data for California. They found that water efficiency measures were almost always less costly than other water supply options, except for some of the most expensive landscape water reduction options. Water reuse and urban stormwater capture projects were more costly per unit of water produced, but still less expensive than seawater desalination, which is the most expensive option evaluated. Just a reminder, May 12th, the Coastal Commission will be having a vote on the ocean desal plant, which we can talk about later. Further, they note that many of these options provide additional co-benefits, such as improving water quality in nearby waterways, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and providing green space that can make them even more financially attractive. All right, so now we're going to get into the recommendations from the report. I'm going to call on folks so you don't have to listen to me any longer. Billy, if you are able to read this first slide for us, and if not, I'll pick someone else.
Expand effort to improve water use efficiency and water loss control. State and federal agencies should increase funding for local water efficiency and water loss control program. Expand customer incentive program for water efficiency measures, including installing high efficiency appliance and fixture device to monitor household water use and identify leaks and sustainable landscape, and improve education and outreach strategy for households and business. Make efficiency program most accessible to low-income households through target support, such as direct install program and partnership with trusted local community groups. Provide education program and technician support for landscape professional, resident, and business on installing and maintaining sustainable landscape. Ban non-fishable grasses at businesses and institutions and in large housing development. Provide funding for modern water efficient landscape, ordinance, compliance, education, and job training programs that support a transition to water efficient landscape. Adopted ordinance requiring residential and commercial buildings to install water efficient device inconsistent with Senate Bill SB 407 when they undergo alternation, improvement, or sale, partners with energy utilities on water efficiency and loss programs that save water and energy and reduce GHG emission. Provide technological support to water utility and financial support to smaller utilities to help meet newly adopted water loss and efficiency standard under SB 555 and Assembly Bill AB 1668 SB 606.
Awesome. Thank you, Billy. Appreciate it. I'm going to call on Karen next. Karen Jacques, if you're able to read this one.
I couldn't get unmuted for a minute. Okay. Expand the supply and use of recycled water. Local and state agencies should take advantage of new federal funding for water reuse available from the Infrastructure Investment and Job Acts of 2021, make more low-interest loans and grants available to support recycled water projects, prioritizing projects that provide multiple benefits and create regional water supply and environmental solutions. Provide resources to support community efforts to communicate about the benefits and safety of water reuse. Assess the supply of and demand for treated wastewater based on improving efficiency, declining per capita water use, and changes in population, regional economic activity, and land use. Conduct regional assessments of demand for recycled water that incorporate quality of water needed by potential recycled water customers. The Water Board should continue developing regulations that support direct potable reuse of recycled water and on-site non-potable water systems with public health safeguards. They should clarify and reevaluate water recycling regulatory frameworks to advance fit-for-purpose concepts, address any gaps, and adjust treatment standards to protect public health and the environment, while not imposing unnecessary treatment and management costs. They should develop new recycled water goals based on the potential for water reuse and include those goals in the next update of the state's recycled water policy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. That was really good. I'm going to pick Carlin next, if you can read this one for us. And then Nancy, you're going to be up after that.
Increase efforts to capture and use stormwater. The state agencies or research entities should create a framework to support urban communities in identifying the optimal mix of stormwater capture projects to maximize water supply and other co-benefits. Provide incentives for property to encourage adoption of on-site stormwater capture. Partner to provide stacked incentives, incentive programs co-funded by 2 or more incentives to drive multi-benefit stormwater projects. Clarify how and when existing stormwater quality standards apply to stormwater to efficiently ensure local agencies are clear on how to treat stormwater capture for reuse. The Water Board should develop stormwater capture goals based on a quantitative assessment of its potential and track projects toward these goals. DWR and the Water Board should develop state and or regional coordination policies and programs that facilitate public-private stormwater projects, such as through alternative compliance options for municipal industrial stormwater permits. Policymakers should reduce the onerous voter approval requirement for stormwater services. While SB 321 could help local agencies develop dedicated funding sources, additional policies that increase long-term funding and cover operation and maintenance expenses are needed.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlin. Appreciate it. Nancy, are you able to read this one? And then after Nancy, I'll ask Lionel to read the one after that. Thanks, Carlin.
Improve planning to support integration of water and non-water benefits into water management and investment decisions. State and local agencies should use existing programs such as the Safe and Affordable Funding for Equity and Resilience, SAFER program, to provide support for feasibility studies of water efficiency, reuse, and stormwater capture opportunities. Expand the types of benefits and trade-offs evaluated in water management decisions, and meaningfully engage with stakeholders in these evaluations. Evaluate the distribution of costs and benefits of a project to promote more equitable distribution. Equity should serve as an essential lens for evaluating water management strategies. Provide more incentives for drinking water, wastewater, stormwater, flood control, and local land use managers to collaborate on water projects and planning. Researchers and others should develop tools and resources to support communities in accounting for the co-benefits of efficiency, reuse, and stormwater capture projects, such as case studies and a library of projected level cost benefit analyses.
Thank you, Nancy. That was great. Lionel, if you could read this next one, and then our last slide, Roseanne, if you'll be able to read that, that would be great.
Support state level data collection efforts and integration across and within state agencies. State and local agencies should include continue to support robust long-term data collection efforts on water supply, use, wastewater production and reuse. Consider accounting for wastewater, effluent?
Effluent?
Oh, affluent, thank you. Never seen that word before. Legally reserved for in-stream flows and other environmental purposes and assessments and a potential reuse to facilitate a more comprehensive understanding of the multiple benefits wastewater effluent and reuse provide for society and the environment. Finally, examine synergies between ongoing data collection efforts and use these insights to improve data quality. Example given, compare the quantity of recycled water used reported by water suppliers and the EAR to the quantity of recycled water supplied by recycled water producers and wastewater treatment plants reported in the volumetric annual report.
Awesome. Thank you, Lionel. Yeah, effluent is another word for water discharge. And I should also say EAR is electronic annual report. So thank you for that. And Roseanne, can you read this final slide for us?
Of course.
Thank you.
Investigate research gaps to improve effectiveness of water efficiency, water reuse, and stormwater capture. State and local agencies should assess current water use and end uses within specific subsectors to provide better information for estimating future water demand and identifying efficiency and reuse opportunities. Conduct statewide water end use and saturation studies, potentially in combination with ongoing energy studies for homes, businesses, and institutions to help identify which water uses hold the greatest savings opportunities. Researchers and others should examine behavior change and other strategies for encouraging greater uptake of water efficiency, water reuse, and stormwater capture. Identify real and perceived barriers institutions face in pursuing water efficiency, reuse, and stormwater capture projects, and co-develop resources to support overcoming these barriers. And lastly, identify the potential effects of and ways to mitigate stormwater capture and recharge impacts on the water quality of California's public supply aquifers.
Excellent. Thank you so much for reading that. So I know I threw a lot of numbers at you. I think there were 3 that really stand out to me that I think we can use all the time. And, you know, when you're having your cocktail party conversations about the Delta Tunnel, you can throw these numbers out too. I think one of the big ones, like I paused for earlier, was that the water board found that we take nearly 5 million acre feet per year more water out of the delta than is compatible with the healthy system. So that's 5 million acre feet per year more than they can really handle in the delta to support salmon, sandhill cranes, and all the other little cuties out there, and human life too. Another big one is that urban water use in California averaged, I'll skip that part. Basically, we could reduce water use in California as a state as a whole from 2 to 3 million acre feet per year just from urban water use. So that's the state as a whole, which is 2 to 3.1 million acre feet per year. And then because we focus on metropolitan so much, their number specifically, 1.1 to 1.7 million acre feet per year of water could be saved from a lot of these water efficiency tactics. And that's a third of the water in the state right there alone. So quite a bit of savings. And it's especially frustrating when they just voted to use Sites Reservoir, and they may vote for the voluntary agreements, and they've been supporting the Delta Tunnel, and yet they also won't be having any new local conservation projects in the next 2 years. So disappointing. But yeah, let's go for questions, comments. Well, thanks for introducing yourselves in the chat. Fantastic. Anybody? Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
I wanted to say when I flew to Seattle, that all the water they use for toilet flushing is gray water,
Nice.
all the bathrooms.
Excellent.
And also this new stadium they built for the Krakens, the hockey league. I don't know the name of it, but every single thing is reusable. There's no plastic, there's nothing that can't be recycled. So that the roof, the walls, everything can be recycled.
Wow.
So that's quite amazing and quite a bit of planning, I think.
That's very impressive.
And one other quick thing I wanted to say is that with these new water limitations, they suggested in Redlands that per person, we should use only 80 gallons of water a day. And then I figured out my bill, and we're using about 60 gallons a day.
That's great.
Per person.
Per person.
So that there's so many things that we can do that are sustainable. It just doesn't make any sense. But we do have a pretty good water source down here.
That's fantastic. I've read that the average person only uses about 55 gallons per day, but that's, that could vary on a lot of different things in different parts of the country. So that's fantastic. Good for you, Nancy. That's great. So Nevada actually, they are moving toward, well, Las Vegas for sure. I think a lot of Nevada as well is moving towards, or so they already, in Vegas, they already implemented this, and then Nevada's moving towards it. And they presented to Met last week, so that maybe they'll consider it too, towards banning non-functional turf. I think it might take a while politically to happen here, but I think it's in our future. So that is essentially, if the grass isn't used for a sports field, I can't really think of any other functions that they specified, but if it's not used for a sports field, we're just not going to have it. They said a spot for a dog to pee doesn't count anymore. Not good enough. Dogs can pee on something else. So yeah, that would be huge if we move in that direction. Any other thoughts, feelings, impressions? It's quite a bit of water we can save. It's a lot.
It just underscores the absurdity of spending billions destroying the Delta, destroying Delta communities, to get the last drop of water out of the Delta. I mean, this is very very helpful information to have to comment to water districts. It's very helpful information to have just to have conversations with other people about why we don't need the Delta.
Absolutely.
I mean, why we don't need the tunnel, not the Delta.
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky enough to see this before it came out, and I was actually like sworn to secrecy about it. But the first thing I did was say, Met, you need to schedule a presentation the day this goes public, and they did actually. So they've seen this now. A lot of other major water agencies have. I believe the state has. It's just a question of, all right, what are you going to do with it? So that's important. I think that people want to do more. It's just an issue of political will, spending, budgeting. Unfortunately, Met's budget passed the same day this report came out. But, you know, maybe next year. So. Go ahead, Vicki.
I have a question. Is there any discussion of big ag, you know, of trying to reduce the amount of almonds or other inappropriate crops grown in the state?
That is a hard discussion to have, because you know, they make quite a bit of money. I think it's actually a $1 billion industry in California. So that's a tough one to have. The Sierra Club, we try to be careful because of course there is a need for food. I think we could push harder on that one. A lot of their arguments are around, well, you know, farm workers need these jobs. Okay, well, that doesn't mean people will be out of work just because we're going to grow less of these water wasting crops. There's a lot of other things we can grow instead. There needs to be more conversations around ag, absolutely.
Regenerative ag would be more labor intensive.
Yeah.
And especially in working to reconstitute soils and, you know, start the kind of mixed plantings that and to me, it seems that like that's absolutely critical to both water management in California and also to the climate crisis, because you drastically upgrade the ability of soil to do two things: to absorb greenhouse gases,
yep.
But also to hold water in drought.
Yep. Soil erosion, air quality, particulate matter, all of it. Yeah, absolutely. Roseanne?
So if Sierra Club wanted to focus on reducing water intensive crops, they could start by focusing on the crops that are primarily used for export, because that's California's water. And I don't see why these big ag businesses should be able to take our water for their private profit, and not even to the benefit of Californians when it's public resource.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Comes up every now and then. I think that if the state water committee heard that from folks a little more often, maybe that could be a bigger topic that we push. Hint, hint. So yeah, the state water committee is headed by Charming. I'm gonna mute you, Carlin. By Charming Evelyn and Bill Martin. If anyone wants to drop them an email, but I'll also pass along the message that it's come up again. Absolutely.
It would be nice if every water district had to have, so all the districts that Metropolitan delivers to, and then all the others had to have public workshops on how they could implement, because that would really be a way to get it into the public awareness, to have discussion about what they actually could do if they were, you know, held accountable and required to look at that. I mean, what I'm thinking about is, we now have in the state mandatory climate action plans that you have to do along with your general plan and what have you. And boy, it would sure be helpful to have mandatory water saving plans.
I like that. That's a good one. Well, there are urban water management plans. Is it about savings? Kind of. But you know what? Why not have a water savings plan? I'm going to bring that up with someone. That is though something that I think it's a conversation that's going to come up at least at Met this summer, because now that, well, a few things. I think part of it was the budget as an impetus for this discussion, but there is also, you know how San Diego is always suing Metropolitan. They've been doing that for 20 years over all kinds of things. Well, in the lawsuit that wrapped up in September, the judge ruled that Met, and I assume this is everywhere, but Met, this sets the precedent. Met can no longer put a transfer fee on water. So because San Diego is the farthest away, they always had to pay more for water because they're so far away. And it's a question of equity and fairness, and the EJ communities over there as well. But that was a huge source of revenue for them. So now that they're like, oh no, we're running out of money, especially when and they've been saying a long time, they're trying to encourage us to use less water, but water is also the product they're selling for their business. So it does make it difficult for them to have water. So now they're starting to say, all right, who is not doing enough conservation around here? Which one of you participating agencies are really not doing enough? Because there are some that are fantastic, like LA and Santa Monica, even parts of Orange County, and then there are others who really don't do as much as they should. So I think that's kind of a direction they're going towards, kind of pushing folks into doing more, which I've suggested, well, so not everyone can afford that. Some communities might need some funding, but Adele is really big on getting state and federal funding for all their projects. So maybe that's something that we can help them with, saying, hey, get some funding to help out some of the smaller agencies who can't afford these things. And that's something we can help support with. So, Carlin, you want to say something?
Yeah, I saw a reference somewhere, and I can't quote it, and I wish I could, but if anybody knows, I saw a notice that was around 2015 that about half of California water is exported as agriculture.
I think it's higher than that even. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't cite the study, but I think you're right. I think it was something like 55-60% of California's water is exported as agriculture.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Almonds and rice and pistachios.
And alfalfa.
And what? And alfalfa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almonds are hugely popular in Asia right now too. That's a big part of it as well. Yeah. I think we do need to focus more on ag.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so you will get an email. Actually, I'm going to stop recording at this point.